Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of What's the Story? I'm your host, Jason. Today we have on the podcast Miss Lauren Morris. Yay.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Yay, welcome.
Thank you.
So you went on the Rocking the World,
Yes.
Disrupting Stereotypical Notions of Race, Class, and Religion program
Absolutely.
in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, how was it?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I've been to Washington, D.C. a couple of times, but being able to go with kind of a group in a class setting was a very different experience. Every time I've gone by myself. So being able to look at all the monuments and do some sightseeing as well as get the history of what happened with the caste system in India, as well as African-American slavery and everything was really awesome. So I'm excited to go back one day and hopefully experience it all over again.
Yay. I just want to ask what prompted you to apply for the program and take part in it.
Fun fact, I actually went on a Klein On the GO experience. First I went to the Blocks in the Temple, and then I went to the African American History Museum downtown with Professor Brown. And so that's when he told me, he was like, hey, you should apply for the Rocking the World experience. And it was really awesome because I want to go back to DC. I haven't been in so long. And so I was able to get my application in, and I was able to go, and I was so excited, but I owed all to Professor Brown. So shout out to him.
Yes. So for anyone who doesn't know, our Klein On the Go's, we started it over COVID when we couldn't travel, so they are pretty much free excursions into the city of Philadelphia and getting to explore where we are, because there's a lot to see and do in Philly, and I'm so glad that inspired you to be able to go on the program.
It was awesome. It was really good.
Yay, love that. So now you're going to pick our words for today, so just grab the travel stories box.
The first word is history.
Ooh, exciting. So I studied abroad in Ireland, and there is such a rich history there because the country is so old.
Yeah.
Ireland is split into two different countries. There's Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK, and then the Republic of Ireland, which is where I was, which is not part of the UK because of Brexit and all of that. So that's very recent. Okay. But I went and visited the North. I went to Belfast. They have a really fun Titanic museum and cool stuff there. That's fun. But one of the really main things, so there's a period of time from about 1960 until almost 2000 called the Troubles. And this is kind of like a political war. And it was between Protestant and Catholic. And it's still a very touchy subject up there. So I went on a black cab tour, and the driver was very knowledgeable. And you go through, and there's a ton of graffiti and murals there. And it's really just a very heavy subject because it's sad that there's a lot of this division, because when you're in the Republic of Ireland, like where I was in Dublin, so friendly, everyone's so nice. And then you go up north and it's a little bit more somber of a tone when you go up there. There's walls up in certain areas, and we went to this one wall, it was called the Peace Wall of Belfast, and we all wrote quotes down, like, be the change you want to see in the world, stuff like that, and trying to inspire this change, because it's still kind of ongoing, this tension. I would say that was definitely a big history lesson for me there.
I would like to talk about just the book that we read in correspondence to the Rocking the World. It was called The Caste System by Isabella Wilkerson. And it talked about the caste system in India, as well as the caste system through racial stereotypes and through the Holocaust. So we talked about the 8 foundational pillars of the caste system, and the ones that kind of jumped out to me was divine will, superiority, dehumanization, and a lot of other ones. So we talked really deeply about that through our class discussion before we went to DC, and then being able to experience all of the history and being in such violent times when we go in through. And so I remember we got to the Holocaust Museum, and as soon as we stepped in, it's almost like we felt the energy kind of push us back. And so I remember we were given these books, and if you've never been to the Holocaust Museum, I think you should definitely go. It was such an awesome experience and so much history there. But we were given these passports, and you have a book of somebody who either survived or lost their life in the Holocaust. And so through each level of the Holocaust Museum, you actually get to open a page and read another part of their story. And by the end of the museum trip, you find out whether they survived or what their story was. So it was really interesting, and I won't share mine just in case you get it. But I think that really put a different perspective on my scene of the Holocaust Museum, because of course we learn about it so much through school, but we don't go into depth about it. And so the Holocaust Museum really put things in a different perspective. And so I learned a whole lot more than I probably ever would have So I think that was a rich part of history that I was so grateful to learn about.
Yeah, it's a very heavy piece of history too. Yeah, I remember I read the Diary of Anne Frank in 8th grade, and it was definitely it was a hard read because you just the outcome, and it's really sad.
Right.
Yeah.
And it puts into perspective, how grateful we are to have what we have. And so going home and reflecting on everything that I've done through my life and everything, I was just like, I'm so grateful to be in a position to be able to just live freely without too much pushback. But, there's always pushback in the world and things we have to deal with. So, but yeah, it was a great experience, and I think everybody should go.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you shared that experience. We can move on to our next one.
Let's see. Museum.
Ooh, okay.
That's
Kinda
right. Okay, cool. Let's go on a little fun time.
Yeah.
So we went to the Air and Space Museum, the National Air and Space Museum. Oh my gosh,
I love that museum.
And it was so cool. We learned about the Wright brothers, and I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, so I know a lot about the Wright brothers because that's where, But I actually got to get a treat in there that I never thought I'd get. It was dehydrated ice cream. Oh. And I saw it on the way out, and I was like, I have to try this because YOLO. And so I tried it, and I hated it. And I was so sad. I was really expecting to like it. I was upset.
I really thought you were going to say you liked it.
No, I was like, I hated it so much. It was really bad. But it was really cool to try it. And then a couple of other classmates got, ice cream sandwiches, dehydrated ice cream sandwiches. I got frozen strawberries.
Oh.
I don't know. It was not good. Personally, I didn't like it. But some of my classmates liked theirs, so I was like, well, good for them. But I got a lot out of that museum, and I also am a Temple student vlogger. So I make YouTube videos for the school, and so I was able to record all of that. So if you want to see my reaction to that, check out the vlog. Little self-plug.
Check it out. Yeah. Is it at just Temple University?
Yeah, it's on Temple University's YouTube channel.
Oh, awesome.
So that's where all of that is.
Yeah, check that out, guys.
The whole experience will be on there, so it's great.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
You.
That's so cool. Yeah, I've been to that museum too. It's a really cool museum.
Yeah, it's really fun. And it's with all of the museums, all the Smithsonians and everything in Washington D.C., it's like you look at something different every time you're there.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was looking at things that I went into the...
Is it a planetarium?
Yeah, the planetarium. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I fell asleep halfway through, and it was only because...
Happens to the best of us.
No, literally. But it was Lupita's voice. Oh, she was the voiceover.
I love her.
And it was so soothing, and for some reason, she just put me to sleep. But it's a great experience, and 10 out of 10 in the museum.
Yeah, I've been to D.C. a ton of times because I have family there, and so I've been to every museum multiple times.
That's awesome.
One of my favorite is the Spy Museum.
Oh, really? Oh, I gotta go. Yeah.
Really cool. That's a really fun one.
That's fun. Well, we had so many options, and we were just like, what's closest, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, and you were working on some limited time, but it definitely sounds like you made the most of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for my experience, there are a ton of museums in Ireland. I actually didn't get to go to a lot of them. I more so was going to castles and fields and stuff. But when I was in Vienna in Austria, I got to go to the Sigmund Freud Museum, which was really cool.
Whoa,
because we've learned about that. I took AP psychology.
Me too. I did not do well.
In high school. Oh, no, I didn't either. I didn't either. So, no, we're good there.
Yeah.
It was really cool getting to see, because you actually are going into his house / his practice, because they were conjoined. So one side of the museum is his practice, and then the other side is his apartment. And they have a ton of his artifacts. He had all these different trinkets, and I couldn't even tell you what half the stuff in there was. It was very interesting, but they had a pair of his glasses, his notebook, his pen, pieces of paper that he wrote on. It was very, very interesting.
Wow,
and it was interesting to see how his practice was part of his house. And I really liked seeing, that's where a lot of our concepts of psychology come from today. And it was a very, very interesting experience.
Yeah.
So that was a very, very neat experience. Well, the castles are really cool too. Yeah. So my favorite one to go to was Blarney Castle. I felt like I was in a Disney movie.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the one with the Blarney stones. You climb up, you're in this narrow passageway of stairs, and you just climb up, and it was a little bit rainy that day, so it was a little bit slippery, so I thought I was gonna slide all the way down.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
Make it to the top, there's the Blarney stone, but it's kind of off, so you have to lay back, and someone pushes you back, and you kiss the stone. And before COVID, you would just kiss it, but now they have to disinfect.
Oh my god, through everyone.
So now I'm kissing disinfectant. But
that's
allegedly, if you kiss it, you get 7 years of the gift of gab.
Ooh, okay.
And I feel like I've already had that, so it just turned me into more of a nightmare for everyone around me to talk. But that was definitely a very cool experience as well.
That's awesome.
So before we wrap up, I do want to ask, why do you think a study away program is so important for students to take part in?
Absolutely. I think especially as a freshman, like speaking, it was really interesting for me to be able to go somewhere for a week and digest so much in such a short amount of time. So study away program will kind of give you that touch and feel of a study abroad program, but for a cheaper cost, as well as a shorter time away. But I still think it has like the same effect in, you know, the knowledge that you get and the people that you meet and stuff. You know, we started off the week on like a Monday at 7 a.m., which is a little early, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it'd be early for me. Yeah.
7 a.m. But by the end of the week, all of us were so close, and I still talk to some of the people that I went on the trip with. And so it was really such a great experience, and I would recommend it to everybody.
Do you have any final thoughts?
I do not. I'm really excited that I was able to have this conversation with you.
Oh my God, no, thank you for coming on. So insightful. I love getting to hear from everyone, and that was awesome. So from me and Lauren, this has been What's the Story?
Yes.
Bye guys. See you next week.